Just because you're spending a lot of money on yourself doesn't mean that you're taking care of yourself. Self-care is investing in yourself. So when it comes to taking care of yourself, it's about so much more than just doing the things that feel good, like going on vacation, like getting massages, getting your hair done, getting your nails done, shopping, and spending ridiculous amounts of time on things that you are categorizing as care for yourself when they're really self-indulgences. And there's so much danger in that because there are emotional habits tied to your emotional needs that you can often dive into that are dangerous, that are addictive, and that cause more negative outcomes than positive. So I want to first talk to you about some of the things and some of the ways that you are operating in self-indulgence and making yourself think that it's self-care, right? So women are emotional. We feel everything. The way that we feel becomes the reality of life to us. But that can be an extremely damaging habit and behavior, especially if you're in the midst of any kind of breakup, breakdown, or traumatic experience. So one of the things that we make a lot of fun of and we see in movies is like when a woman goes through a breakup, she gets a big tub of ice cream, she sits in bed or on the couch, she watches TV for hours and hours, she eats all the junk, she doesn't take a shower, she doesn't take care of herself. But we've begun to label that kind of behavior as self-care, simply because it feels good, simply because it allows you to feel your feelings, when in fact, what you're doing is indulging the negative emotion and sitting in it often longer than you should. So let's take a look at what it really means to care for yourself or to care for something versus what it means to indulge. So first and foremost, when you are indulging, it's about pleasure. It's about your senses being awakened by what feels good to you. It's about doing the things that are making you feel happy and making you feel joy and just making you feel good. But self-care isn't always about the feel-good feeling. Care is about what's necessary. Care is about what's needed, and care is about what's required. So I want to go ahead and break down some of the top self-care myths and debunk these so that you can understand how to really create a sacred self-care plan for yourself, for your life, and for your relationships. So the first myth is that self-care is selfish. Immediately no. Immediately no. Self-care is about self-sufficiency, self-sustainability, and it's about prioritizing the needs of the self. Sometimes that means that you want to take time for yourself. That means that you get to disconnect, tune out from all of the trauma and the drama and the chaos. Sometimes it means that you're not going to answer that phone call from your mom at 7 in the morning because you know that all she's going to do is gossip about your aunties, and you don't really need that in your life right now. Sometimes self-care looks like going on a social media fast so that you are not being bombarded with all of the Meg and Tory news, the Jada and Will news, and all of the other things that really just ain't your business. Taking the time for self-care is the only thing that should be on your agenda every single day. It is not selfish, right? It is an actual necessity for you to be able to show up in the world, show up for yourself, be a good partner to others. The second self-care myth is that self-care has to be expensive. You know, I'm all about the Black girl luxury and Black girls in luxury and all the TikTok hashtags that are floating around right now and all the luxury vacations that everybody gets to go on. But that's not self-care either, right? What you do during that vacation may include some self-care, but the vacation itself is an escape. It's an escape from your reality. It's an escape from what's actually happening in your life. The self-care doesn't really start until you come back home and deal with the things that are in front of you. And just because you're spending a lot of money on yourself doesn't mean that you're taking care of yourself. Self-care is investing in yourself, hiring that coach, going to see that therapist, right? Speaking with the psychologist, going to the doctor, spending the money on the things that matter most and not just on the things that you'll get to show others. Another self-care myth is that self-care has to be physical. It has to be about your appearance, your aesthetic. It's all spa days and mani-pedis and facials and all of that. Those things are great. And of course, we do know that there are certain things you can do at the spa that can contribute to your self-care. Massages are wonderful for circulation and all of that, especially for the BBL baddies. Make sure that y'all keep going and getting your massages because you need that lymphatic system draining. But there are so many things that you do at the spa that really are not about care and are simply about feeding your ego, are about pleasing other people, and are about the way that you present. So when it comes to practicing self-care, you want to make sure that you are doing the things that are actually going to take care of you as a whole, your mind, your soul, your emotions, and your body, okay? One of the other self-care myths is that self-care is supposed to feel good, and that is not necessarily true. Oftentimes, the first step in a self-care practice should be about self-reflection, self-awareness. It should be about you connecting to your feelings, looking at your patterns, asking yourself how you've gotten to the places and spaces that you're in your life, evaluating your relationships and the results that exist in your life as well. And sometimes that just doesn't feel good. That's why you don't do it. And I know that's why you don't do it. And so you do these other things and call it self-care as a way to make yourself think that you're taking good care of yourself. But in fact, taking care of yourself can be the most challenging thing that you do. So if it doesn't feel good, don't run away from it. Don't resist it. Lean in a little bit more, see what you can learn about yourself from it, and then create a practice of doing it a little bit more, and a little bit more, okay? So women who love themselves take care of themselves. Women who value themselves do what is necessary for the care of themselves, even when it's not expensive, even when other people don't understand, even when it doesn't feel good, and even when it challenges you to take a look at your deeper self. So here's what I want you to do for the next 7 days. I want you to listen to all of the myths that we've just debunked about self-care. And I want you to see which ones have been playing in your head, which ones are present in your life, and which ones you may have believed that you get to dismantle and get rid of and let go of so that you can actually sink into sacred self-care, which is when it's not just about what feels good and it's not just about the indulgences, but it is about deeply loving and caring for yourself on a level that impacts all of the things that happen in your life. And for the next 7 days, I want you to opt into sacred self-care instead of the simple self-care that you've been doing or the self-indulgence that you've been using as self-care. Then I want you to let me know how it goes for you. Leave a comment below if you have any additional questions. Like, subscribe, and share this video so that we can expose the magic of sacred self-care to every woman in your life. And I'll see you guys next time on the next episode.